Good afternoon, folks, or I should say good morning, depending on what part of the country you are in. I'm in Arizona. It's 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for those people on the other side of the country. Coming to you each day, I am your ex-conservative radio hour host. Actually, it's 2 hours. 2 hours a day I've been doing this. Started doing 2 hours maybe about 3 weeks ago. Anyway, I publish Arizona Tourist News. I'm a businessman. I'm a businessman in Tucson for the past 20 years. I talk about the dark side of the media. I talk about a lot of things people can't say. You know, Bill Maher gets away with a lot of things, doesn't he? How often do you hear him say something ridiculous and then he just comes back and says, hey, I'm just a comedian? Well, I got to tell you, folks, I was brought up outside of Boston in Brockton, Massachusetts, blue-collar town. I grew up on the right side of the city where all the rich kids were, but on the wrong side of the street. I was ridiculed all my life for my performance because I was certainly better looking than those clowns, but I could outsport them in anything that I did. Being poor, not having money, always coming with the idea that I was ashamed to say I can't afford it, so I quickly learned how to steal. My first breaking and entering situation was when I broke into my mother's cookie jar, penny jar, at probably the age of 7 or 8 when the ice cream truck came around. Later on in life, a lady at a bank, as I was moving furniture, once said to me, "Oh, if you ever want a loan," I said, "Sweetheart, if I want a loan, I'll come and take it." Having come from the land of not enough, watching those from the land of more just simply whine as good as they had it. They never knew they had it so good. Always whining. But anyway, I always had this sense of knowing it all. All my life, my friends said, I know it all. What do you think you are, a know-it-all? Of course, they would always come to me for advice, and I'd always welcome my opinion. But I do know it all, folks. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. I know that I'm a perfect human being with so many imperfections that I'm as perfect as you're going to get, because if you think perfect is in existence to be something that's real, you're wrong. So here I am 5 minutes into the show, and I haven't told you what I do yet, but a lot of you already know what I do. I am my audience. That which is attracted to you identifies who you are. Water seeks its own level. We are so tired. We are the Tea Party attitude, aren't we? Tea Party doesn't have a leader because it's an idea, it's a thought, it's an attitude. It's the same idea that made us special. It's a reawakening of what makes us exceptional being an American. No other country like it in the world. And what formed it? It formed a bunch of people in Western Europe saying, I want to have the freedom to worship as I see fit. I want to have the freedom to be the boss of me. It was a intuitive idea. It was an intuitive idea. I knew it growing up as a kid, not knowing I didn't have a whole lot, but I was really loved by my parents, or I should say by my mother. My father showed love too. As a child, I felt his love, but he was a no-good father. As I later found out in my later years, my mother got rid of him when I was about 12 years old. He once kidnapped us. We were gone for 3 days. I've got a pretty good dysfunctional childhood to give me the credibility of understanding what I know to be a victim when I don't want to be a victim. Watching things like Queen for a Day in the 1950s, sitting down as a kid watching people humiliate themselves. Remember I told you I didn't like saying I can't afford something? Because I just felt embarrassed or almost ashamed. And there these people were, for the hopes of gaining a wash machine or a bunch of furniture. They would compete on who was the poorest or the neediest. And now they're doing it with the biggest loser. So what do I talk about? I talk about life. I talk about our life. Talk about our culture, how the culture we've been losing ever since pop culture has been the dominating force. If you think of pop culture as an automobile, if you think of it as a fast-moving train, if you think of it as a 747, if you think about it as Air Force One, It identifies who we are, unfortunately, because that's the way the media then embodies those vehicles, because that's what makes it all go, is the conveyor of these truths, these untruths, these unspeakable truths that they don't want to talk about. They'd rather entertain us and inform us with things we have no need of knowing right now. I was ranting a little bit yesterday about my despair of having to watch the miracle in Chile. In Chile. In Chile. In Chile. Chile. That's how I know it. That's how it is. So what? Was that a tragedy?